A few weeks back, I came across these glow-in-the-dark joypads by Omelet Gaming. I was going to feature them in the next hauled episode, but then they reached out wanting to sponsor this episode so we can share their latest line of Nintendo Switch accessories. So let's take a look.
This is Sergio AM. Welcome to It Came From a Box.
First up is their mini glow-in-the-dark joypads. They're Joy-Con alternatives that, well, glow in the dark. They're available in a few colors that you can mix and match. I have their Volt Green and Moon White, but you can also get them in blue, yellow, and orange for each side. In the box, we get the joypad with the rail buttons attached and a wrist strap to prevent it from launching straight into your TV. Right off the bat, the color on the Volt Green is very neon, looks great. You'll notice that it is wider than the official Joy-Cons and almost twice as thick towards the back, but it's slightly smaller than Hori's split pad compacts. Build quality is pretty good, but it is plasticky. They're very round. The back curves inward for your fingers to wrap into and rest, and the thicker size makes it fill your hand, which makes them more comfortable. On the side, we have the connection rail and all the same buttons as the official one. The wrist strap on the strap is much thicker than the official one, very comfortable, locks right in, and we have the eject button on the back. Over on the side, we have a USB-C port so you can charge it, but you can also juice it up when connected to the Switch or a charger. Now let's talk buttons, sticks, and all that good stuff. The face buttons on the right one feel a bit hollow, and they're not as springy as I'd like, but they work well. On the left one, instead of buttons, we have a traditional D-pad. It's very square, it sits at just the right height with a slight curve to it. It doesn't tilt that much, and it has a firm amount of resistance. Love having a D-pad, but just note that this is a bit awkward to use individually. You're gonna miss those buttons. The analog sticks are small, but with a really good rubbery grip that makes them easy to control, and they're buttery smooth. Up top, we have curved shoulder and trigger buttons, the latter which is slightly bigger. They're clicky, and I like that the triggers are just buttons, since we don't need any travel distance on the Switch. Finally, on the rails, we have those tiny SR and SL buttons, which you'll want to use with the grip. This converts them into bigger buttons, albeit with a mushy feel. Now let's talk features. They're wireless with 5 to 6 hours of battery life. The analog sticks are Hall Elite joysticks, so you don't have to worry about drift. They have basic rumble, along with precise motion controls, and they of course glow in the dark, which makes them much more difficult to lose when the power goes out. And yes, it also wakes up the Switch, one of my favorite features. Overall, they're a good alternative to Joy-Cons for a fraction of the cost. Now, if you're looking to up your game with a traditional gamepad, this is their Pro Plus wireless controller. It's multi-platform compatible, it's wireless with 8 hours of battery life, it charges via USB-C, and you can also use it wired with the included charging cable. Size-wise, it feels slightly smaller than a Pro controller with this kind of rounded design and a matte texture that feels good in hand. As for inputs, the face buttons are medium-sized, they're glossy, they reset quickly, and they feel great. The analog sticks are standard height with grippy edges, and they're buttery smooth to use. The D-pad is nice and big with rounded corners and a large indent towards the center, which helps when traveling around it. So far, it's been pretty accurate, but sometimes you can get hung up in those corners. Up top, we have small shoulder buttons that work well all throughout. And then we have bigger triggers with a nice curve and short travel distance, which I prefer. Over on the back, we have a lot, almost more buttons in the front. First, on each grip, we have XR and XL back buttons that you can program. They're a good size with barely any travel distance. Then on this top set, we have dedicated buttons that increase or decrease the strength of the rumble motors. Next, we have 2 dedicated macro buttons. And down the middle, a large dedicated turbo button. As for features, we have pretty accurate motion controls, adjustable rumble. It also has RGB lighting in the crystallized buttons that look very deep, I love that, and the rings around the analog sticks, all of which are adjustable. Back to that turbo button. With it, you can quickly add turbo to any button along with a continuous mode so you don't have to hold it down. Very handy. Then Those two back buttons can either be remapped to any other on the fly, or you can record macros on them. Finally, yes, it can also wake the Switch. Now, if you like the idea of Joy-Cons but in a traditional controller size, check out their Pro Plus joypads. They're available in 6 colors and variations. They're wireless and you can charge them by either the rails or the USB-C ports at the bottom of each, but you can also use them attached to the Switch, like big old Joy-Cons. Now, the materials, buttons, and sticks all feel identical to their Pro Plus wireless controller, except that the shoulder and triggers have a more geometric shape. The former feels a bit clickier, and the latter has a slightly longer travel distance with a lot of resistance. The back buttons are a bit larger, but still very thin, and the grips are curvier, which makes each feel great in hand. It also has the same buttons for rumble adjustment, remap, or macro, and those 2 handy back buttons. And it has RGB lighting on this bar towards the center, the face buttons, and the analog stick rings. Now, like Joy-Cons, we have those inner rails that you can hook up to the console, which makes them like jumbo full-size Joy-Cons. But then you can attach them to the included connector, which makes it feel more like a traditional controller. They still have gyro for motion controls, and you can also use it with other accessories such as a charger. Next, to keep your controllers charged up, this is Omelet's Pro Plus dock charger. You can get it in white or this black. It's compatible with the official Joy-Cons as well as all of Omelet's joypads. It's well made, it's pretty big, so it can also hold those Pro Plus joypads. It's powered via USB-C. Underneath, we have 2 rubber strips to keep it in place, and then we have this button to adjust the RGB light. As for those lights, they're actually very useful here since they're also charging indicators, so you can easily tell when your controllers are topped off and ready to use. Great feature. And last on the list, this is their Fancy Pouch, a collab with Melio. It's a Nintendo Switch carrying case that I guess some could mistake for a pouch. It's actually a thin hard shell case available in 5 shiny colors with a nice gradient. I, of course, went with the black one. The handle at the top is made of a thin strap attached via this carabiner, which makes it a 2-in-1, so you can detach it and hook it up to something like your bag. It's splash-proof, so it should keep the Switch safe from spills or possibly in the rain, but not singing in the rain levels of rain. That's way too much rain. We have durable YKK zippers wrapped in these thick Melio rubber grips. Inside, we have a mesh net to carry a few accessories. In the middle, we have a divider with 10 elastic game card slots. And then we have the slot for the Switch that's lined in a very soft and luxurious feeling plush. Now that is fancy. So that's their latest line of Switch accessories. I want to thank Omelet Gaming once again for sponsoring this episode. They wanted to hook you guys up with some deals, which you can see right here, and also give them a follow on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I'll have links for all of this in the description below. Once again, I'm Sergio AM. Thanks for liking and subscribing, and I'll see you for the next box. If you like this video and want to help us out, click that thumbs up button and leave a comment below so we can talk. Now, if you want to go further, subscribe and ding the bell to stay notified whenever we post a new video. You made it to the end, and I just want you to know that you are the reason we do what we do. This is Sergio AM, and I'll see you for the next box.